Good evening, dear friends, and welcome. Before we settle into this quiet moment together, I want to greet each of you with warmth and peace. Wherever you are listening from, whether winding down after a long day, seeking comfort before sleep, or simply needing a gentle reminder that God is near, I'm grateful that you're here. May this time bring calm to your mind, rest to your heart, and light to your spirit. You are part of a family that gathers in faith, and there is a place for you in this moment of reflection. As the day winds down, you find yourself looking back over the hours that have passed, noticing how each moment carried its own weight, some light and joyful, others heavy with uncertainty or challenge. Yet even in the mixture of emotions that weave through a day, you sense a quiet thread of grace holding everything together. You begin to feel grateful for the moments that tested you because they strengthen something deeper inside your heart. There is a sacredness in the way trials gently shape a soul, not by breaking it, but by teaching it how to stand steady in the wind. Tonight, as the world softens into evening, a peaceful invitation rises within you to ask God for the courage to trust Him, especially when obedience is costly. There are days when faith feels easy, like walking along a calm shoreline with the sunlight warm on your face. But there are also days when faith feels like stepping into the unknown, when obedience leads you into places that require courage, endurance, and surrender. In those moments, trust becomes more than a word. It becomes a way of leaning into God with your whole being. This is where your thoughts drift to Daniel, a man whose faith did not spare him from trial, yet whose trust carried him through it. You imagine him standing quietly in a world that tried to bend him, hold him back, or silence his devotion. Daniel's faith was not dramatic or loud. It was steady, consistent, gentle, and unwavering. He prayed with the same quiet devotion whether life was peaceful or dangerous, and in that constancy, he revealed something beautiful. Trust is most powerful when it remains unchanged by circumstance. You think about how Daniel's obedience placed him at risk, how his integrity was tested not just once, but repeatedly. Yet there was no anger in him, no panic, no desperation, only trust. Trust that God saw him. Trust that God understood the cost of obedience. Trust that even if the path led him into the lion's den, he would not be alone. His story reminds you that faith does not always remove the trial. Sometimes it walks with you through it. And it is in the through that God reveals His strength most clearly. As you reflect on this, you begin to recognize the parallel to your own life. Not every struggle looks like Daniel's, but the heart of obedience feels familiar. There are decisions you've made that have required courage. There are moments when doing the right thing came with a cost. There are days when choosing honesty, compassion, forgiveness, or patience placed you in uncomfortable or vulnerable situations. Yet the same God who was with Daniel is with you. The same God who shut the mouths of lions can quiet the fears that roar inside your heart. A gentle warmth fills your thoughts as you consider how God has already carried you through so many unseen dangers, so many quiet trials, so many moments when you felt uncertain but kept going anyway. Trusting God is not a one-time act. It is something that grows over time, like a plant that strengthens its roots beneath the soil, long before it blossoms in the light. You realize that every act of obedience, even the small ones, deepens those roots. And over time, your heart learns to stand steady, even in the winds that once would have shaken you. Your mind drifts to the wisdom of Bishop Fulton Sheen, whose gentle clarity always has a way of reaching the soul. You hear his words echo softly. Judge the church not by those who barely live its spirit, but by those who draw close to God with sincerity. You reflect on how every generation has had people who lived with powerful faith, not because life was easy, but because they held tightly to God in the middle of difficulty. Their trust became a witness, not loud or dramatic, but steady, luminous, and true. This thought settles you into a deeper quiet. You begin to sense how God has been shaping your faith all along, often through moments you didn't recognize as invitations. Every challenge was an opportunity to trust Him. Every fear was an opening for faith. Every disappointment was a doorway to surrender. And every small act of obedience became a stepping stone that led your heart closer to God's presence. The day begins to feel different as you reflect on it now. You look back on the moments that felt overwhelming or difficult, and instead of frustration, you feel a quiet appreciation. Those moments taught you something about who you are becoming. They reminded you of the strength that God has placed within you. They revealed how far you've come, not because of your own efforts alone, but because God walked with you in every step, even when you didn't feel it at the time. You breathe slowly, letting this truth settle. Trust does not always feel dramatic. Sometimes it feels like a small decision made quietly in your heart. Sometimes it is choosing to pray when you feel discouraged. Sometimes it is choosing to forgive when you don't feel ready. Sometimes it is choosing patience when everything inside you wants to rush. And sometimes it is simply choosing to rest in the knowledge that God understands what you cannot see. As this realization deepens, you find yourself feeling gently held by the awareness of God's presence. Your spirit softens, your thoughts slow, your heart relaxes into a peaceful surrender. You no longer feel the need to understand every outcome or control every detail. You simply want to trust. You want to walk with God the way Daniel did, in quiet consistency, in faithful devotion, in gentle strength. The room around you grows still as this peace settles more fully inside you. It is the kind of peace that does not depend on circumstances, the kind of peace that whispers through the heart even when the world feels uncertain. It is the peace that Jesus gives, the peace that carries you through trials rather than around them, the peace that deepens your trust in ways you cannot yet see. You close your eyes for a moment and allow your heart to rest in this truth. God knows everything you carry. He knows the quiet struggles you don't share. He knows the sacrifices you've made in silence. He knows the fears you push through, the forgiveness you fight for, the prayers you whisper late at night. And He honors every act of trust, even the ones no one else notices. As this awareness fills you with calm, the evening feels like a gentle invitation, a moment to release the day, to rest in God's care, and to step into a deeper trust. You begin to understand that the peace you seek does not come from having everything figured out. It comes from knowing that God walks with you, strengthens you, and guards you, just as He guarded Daniel. You breathe in one last quiet moment of gratitude before the night fully settles. Your heart feels lighter, your mind feels clearer, and your spirit feels steadier. You are ready to continue this journey, knowing that each step will unfold with grace. As the quiet of evening deepens, you begin to recognize how trust has been slowly weaving itself in your life in ways you never fully noticed before. It didn't arrive in a sudden burst or through a single extraordinary moment. Instead, it grew through 1,000 small choices, each one shaping your heart a little more. You think back to days when trust felt fragile, when worry seemed louder than faith, when every step forward felt uncertain. Yet somehow, through grace alone, God kept teaching you how to lean on Him even when the path felt unclear. You did not always see it as growth, but now in this calm space, you begin to understand how gently God has been forming your soul. Trust rarely feels like strength in the moment. Often it feels like letting go. It feels like surrendering your fear at God's feet, even when part of you wants to hold it tightly. It feels like opening your heart to possibilities you cannot control. It feels like choosing faith over anxiety, patience over panic, quiet confidence over noise. You remember moments when you felt stretched too thin, when worry pressed heavily on your chest, when the choices before you felt overwhelming. Yet somehow you made it through those moments. Not because you found an answer right away, but because you decided to keep walking with God even without clarity. As you sit in this gentle stillness, you begin to see that trust is not a single act, but a daily posture of the heart. It is choosing again and again to believe that God is working, even in silence. It is learning to be still when everything in you wants to rush ahead. It is holding on to hope when circumstances seem to push against it. This kind of trust takes time to grow, but when it does, it becomes a quiet strength beneath the surface of your life, steady enough to carry you through what once would have shaken you. Your thoughts drift once more to Daniel and how his trust was not formed overnight. His faithfulness grew through years of walking closely with God, long before he ever faced the lion's den. He built a relationship with God through prayer, through daily devotion, through a heart that refused to separate obedience from love. When the moment of crisis arrived, Daniel was already rooted in trust. His peace in danger was not accidental. It was formed through a lifetime of spiritual consistency. His courage flowed from a heart anchored in God's presence. As you reflect on this, you begin to see how your own experiences, small, ordinary, sometimes unnoticed, have quietly shaped you in similar ways. Every moment when you chose patience over frustration, you strengthened your trust. Every time you forgave someone, even when it hurt, you deepened your faith. Every time you decided to pray instead of worry, you strengthened your spiritual foundation. Each of these decisions was like placing one more stone in the path that leads your heart toward God. This realization softens something inside you. You begin to appreciate the hidden work that God has done in your life. You remember times when you felt confused, when the future seemed dim, when circumstances were overwhelming. Back then you wondered if God was distant. But now, looking back with gentler eyes, you can see how he was guiding you in ways you didn't recognize. He was preparing you, strengthening you, and shaping you. Even in the moments of silence, God was working. You reflect on the prayers for the holy souls and how trust takes on a different depth when you pray for others. It becomes an act of love, a quiet offering, a reminder that God's mercy extends beyond time and space. When you pray for the departed, you feel connected to something larger than yourself, a communion of love that stretches across generations beyond the limits of earthly life. You sense how trust can bridge not only your fears of the future, but also your understanding of eternity. God's mercy is vast, and your prayers, however humble, become part of a greater movement of grace. This thought leads your mind to the wisdom of those who lived before you, people whose faith carried them through far more difficult circumstances. Their stories remind you that trust is not fragile. It has endured centuries of persecution, hardship, uncertainty, and fear. From the early saints to the faithful of every generation, trust has always been the quiet force that sustains souls in the face of storms. Their example strengthens your understanding that the trust you are learning to cultivate is not new. It is part of the same ancient faith that carried Daniel, the apostles, the martyrs, and humble believers across time. You begin to feel humbled by this continuity. You realize that your journey is part of a much larger narrative, one in which God is always faithful, always present, always guiding. Trust becomes not just a personal virtue, but a participation in something sacred. It connects your heart to a tradition of belief that spans centuries. And in this connection, you feel less alone, more grounded, more supported by the unseen cloud of witnesses who have walked before you. As your heart embraces this truth, you find yourself thinking of the quieter moments in your day, the ones that seemed insignificant at the time, the conversation that required patience, the choice to hold your tongue instead of speaking harshly, the moment you resisted discouragement and chose hope instead, the prayer you whispered while doing daily tasks. These small moments reveal that trust is not reserved for great trials. It lives in the ordinary corners of your life. It grows when you choose kindness over bitterness. It strengthens when you pause before reacting. It deepens when you lift your eyes to God instead of letting your thoughts spiral into fear. There is a gentle beauty in this. You begin to see how God transforms the ordinary into sacred ground. Trust becomes the way you walk through daily life, step by step, breath by breath. And the more you choose it, the more you begin to feel that God is walking with you in every detail. This awareness draws you into a deeper calm. You no longer feel pressured to have all the answers. You no longer measure your progress by perfection. Instead, you begin to value the steady rhythm of growth, the quiet movement of grace, the slow strengthening of faith. Your heart grows quiet as you reflect on how God protects His faithful ones, not always by removing the trial, but by walking beside them within it. The same God who shut the mouths of lions can silence the fears that rise within your chest. The same God who vindicated Daniel can guide you through moments when trusting Him feels difficult. You begin to understand that trust is not the absence of fear, but the choice to believe that God is greater than whatever threatens your peace. This truth rests gently on your soul. You feel your spirit expanding with a sense of peace that is neither loud nor dramatic, but steady and tender. It is the peace of someone who knows they are held by a love that does not fail. You begin to sense that every new day will bring new opportunities for trust, not as burdens, but as invitations. Invitations to grow deeper, to walk closer, to surrender more freely, and to live with a heart that finds strength in gentleness. As the evening deepens around you, this awareness becomes a quiet light in your spirit. You feel steadier, calmer, and more connected to God. You are learning to release your fears, to surrender your expectations, and to walk forward with a trust that has been softened and strengthened by grace. You feel grateful for the journey, not because it has always been easy, but because God has never left you to walk it alone. This peace lingers as you breathe slowly, letting the calm settle into you fully. The night feels softer, your thoughts feel clearer, and your heart feels more open as you prepare to continue this quiet journey of trust. As the night deepens and the world grows quiet around you, something within your heart becomes even more aware of how God has been guiding your journey in ways you once overlooked. Trust, you realize, is not only built through peaceful moments of reflection, but also through the weight of unanswered questions. It forms in moments when you whisper prayers without knowing how they will be answered. It grows when you choose to believe that God is good even when circumstances feel heavy and unclear. And it blossoms when you look back and recognize how He carried you through places that once felt impossible. In the stillness of this evening, your thoughts drift to times when fear stood in front of you, like an obstacle you didn't know how to overcome. You remember days when everything felt uncertain, when your emotions were tangled, when your heart felt worn down by disappointments and delays. In those moments, trust felt like a distant concept rather than a living force. Yet somehow you made it through. God didn't remove every challenge, but He walked with you through each one, teaching you how to rely on His strength rather than your own. You see now that the very moments that confused you the most were shaping a deeper foundation beneath your spirit. There is a certain tenderness in recognizing how God has held you in seasons when you felt fragile. You may not have known it then, but God was forming resilience inside of you. Not the kind that demands perfection or emotional toughness, but the kind that grows from knowing that your strength comes from Him alone. Your trials have softened you rather than hardened you, because grace has been the quiet force behind your survival. This realization becomes a warm light inside your chest, comforting you with the truth that nothing you went through was wasted. As you breathe deeper into this calm, you sense the steady presence of God in the room with you, a presence that does not push or demand, but gently invites you to rest. You think again of Daniel's unwavering trust, and it dawns on you that faith is not proven in the absence of trials, but in the midst of them. Daniel's courage did not come from fearlessness. It came from loyalty. He chose to remain faithful even when the cost was high. He prayed even when prayer put him in danger. He believed even when circumstances suggested that belief was futile. His trust wasn't about what God might do, but about who God already was. This realization begins to settle into the corners of your own heart. You understand now that trust is not about predicting God's actions. It is about trusting His character. It is believing that He is good even when life feels difficult. It is choosing hope even when you feel weary. It is walking forward even when the path is dim. It is lifting your eyes toward heaven even when your emotions feel heavy. It is surrendering your worries into the hands of the one who sees the full picture. As you sit with this truth, you begin to reflect on your own prayer life. There have been days when prayers flowed easily, and others when they felt forced. Days when you felt God's presence strongly, and days when you wondered if He heard you at all. Yet even in the dryness, your prayers became seeds of trust planted in the soil of hope. They grew slowly and quietly, often beneath the surface. But God was listening the whole time. He was present in every whispered word and every silent ache. He was shaping your heart through every moment of seeking Him. You remember moments when you prayed not for miracles, but simply for enough strength to make it through the day. Those prayers, though small, were precious to God. They were offerings of trust, each one a step toward Him. And now as you look back, you see how those small prayers carried extraordinary weight. They kept you connected to the one who guides you, the one who protects you, the one who understands you better than you understand yourself. Your heart softens as you reflect on the prayers for the suffering souls. In their stories, you see a mirror of your own longing, your desire for mercy, healing, and redemption. When you pray for others, especially those who can no longer pray for themselves, something inside you expands. You feel the reach of God's mercy extending beyond your immediate world, touching lives you have never met. In that moment, you recognize how interconnected your faith is with the faith of the entire church. You are part of something vast and sacred. Your prayers join a river of grace flowing across time and eternity. This awareness humbles you. It reminds you that trust is not a solitary journey. It is shaped by community, strengthened by tradition, and nourished by the prayers of countless souls who walk this path before you. Their legacy becomes a quiet encouragement in your spirit. They remind you that when life feels heavy, you are not carrying the weight alone. God has surrounded you with spiritual support far deeper than anything you see with your eyes. The night grows quieter, and in that stillness, your thoughts shift to the gentle, hidden ways God has protected you throughout your life. There are moments you will never fully understand, times when doors closed unexpectedly, times when relationships changed without warning, times when plans fell apart. Back then, you felt disappointment and confusion. Now, with a wiser heart, you see how God shielded you from unseen harm, how He redirected your steps to places where His grace could reach you more deeply, how He allowed certain hardships because He knew they would grow you rather than destroy you. This thought fills you with a new sense of gratitude. You begin to realize that the events that once felt like setbacks were often divine protection. The unanswered prayers were not rejection, they were mercy. The detours were not failures, they were preparations. Even the waiting seasons, the ones that exhausted your patience and tested your faith, were part of God's loving guidance. They slowed you down long enough for Him to strengthen the parts of your heart that needed healing. You breathe in slowly, feeling your chest rise and fall with a new rhythm, one shaped by quiet trust rather than urgency. You recognize that you no longer need to rush through life searching for control. God is teaching you to move with Him, not ahead of Him. Trust becomes the soft pace that aligns you with His timing. Faith becomes the anchor that steadies your spirit. Peace becomes the companion that accompanies you through every hour of the night. In this atmosphere of calm, you reflect on the prayers for protection during the night. They remind you that God watches over you even when you sleep, even when your thoughts fade into dreams. His protection is not dependent on your awareness. It is constant, unwavering, and tender. This truth is deeply comforting. It frees you from the need to carry every worry into tomorrow. It invites you to rest in the arms of a love that never grows tired. You allow yourself to sink deeper into this peace, feeling your heart unclench from the worries that weighed on it earlier. You no longer feel the need to understand everything. You no longer feel pressured to control outcomes. Instead, you feel a quiet surrender beginning to take place, gentle, trusting, and genuine. You find yourself wanting more of this stillness, more of this closeness with God, more of this deep inner assurance that you are seen, known, and held. Your heart whispers a silent truth. Trust is not something you force, it is something you allow. It grows when you choose to open your hands instead of clenching them. It grows when you choose to breathe instead of panic. It grows when you choose to lean on God instead of your own understanding. It grows when you realize that you are safe in His presence. As you sit with all of this, you feel a renewed strength rising within you. Strength not rooted in determination, but in surrender. Strength not grounded in achievement, but in grace. Strength not driven by fear, but by love. You know there is still more of this journey ahead, and somehow that thought does not intimidate you. Instead, it fills you with a sense of quiet anticipation. If God has brought you this far, He will not abandon you now. You rest in that assurance as the night wraps more gently around you. There is more to discover, more to understand, more to surrender, more to trust. And as you breathe in the peace of this moment, you know that God will continue guiding you into deeper faith. As the night stretches onward and the world grows even more silent, something inside you begins to settle into a deeper kind of peace. It is the peace that comes after a long journey of reflection, when the weight you carried throughout the day gradually softens into something lighter and more manageable. You notice how your heart feels different now, still tender, still aware of its struggles, yet steadier and more rooted than before. It's as though the layers of fear and uncertainty have slowly peeled away, revealing a deeper trust that had been quietly forming beneath the surface. You begin to realize that trust is not something that blooms all at once. It grows in stages. It appears in moments when you choose patience over frustration, forgiveness over bitterness, and surrender over control. It grows through the quiet discipline of lifting your heart to God when everything around you feels overwhelming. It grows through the steady rhythm of prayer, through the humility of acknowledging your weakness, and through the courage of believing in God's love when life feels confusing or painful. And now, with the night wrapped around you like a soft blanket, you feel that trust expanding inside your soul. Your thoughts drift toward the hidden ways God teaches you to trust Him. Sometimes it comes through subtle nudges, gentle reminders, or unexpected moments of encouragement. Other times it comes through challenges, circumstances that stretch you, humble you, or bring you to the end of yourself. In those moments, trust feels like a fragile offering, something that wavers beneath the weight of your emotions. Yet even then, God receives it with tenderness. He doesn't demand perfect trust, He asks for honest trust. And tonight, as your heart rests in His presence, you see how your imperfections have never hindered His love. You think again of Daniel and how his faith did not remove him from the lion's den, but carried him through it. His trust was not a magic shield that prevented trouble. It was a divine strength that sustained him within the trial. Somehow that truth feels even more comforting now. You realize that faith does not guarantee a life free from difficulty. Rather, it guarantees that God will be with you in every difficulty you face. He will stand beside you when the world feels heavy. He will fortify your heart when anxiety closes in. He will guide your steps even in the darkest moments of confusion. This understanding brings you into a deeper gratitude for the ways God has shaped your journey. You recall moments when your heart felt fragile, times when disappointment clouded your dreams, when relationships changed unexpectedly, or when life unfolded differently than you hoped. Those seasons hurt, yet they also revealed God's protective hand in ways you failed to understand at the time. He was guarding you from paths that would have harmed you. He was redirecting your steps towards something better, even when you didn't recognize it. He was pruning your spirit, preparing your heart, and making room for blessings you could not yet see. Reflecting on all this, you begin to understand that trust is sometimes formed through brokenness. When life cracks open your expectations, you discover how deeply you need God. You learn that His love is strong enough to hold every piece of your heart. You see that His mercy is wide enough to cover every mistake, every fear, every regret. You realize that healing often grows in the quiet spaces of surrender, where your soul finally lays down its defenses and lets God move freely. And now, as you breathe in the calm of this moment, you find yourself surrendering more easily, more willingly, more wholeheartedly. Your thoughts drift toward the prayers you whispered earlier, the pleas for strength, healing, and protection. These prayers, though soft, have woven themselves into the rhythm of your heart. They've become reminders that you do not walk through this world alone. Every whispered request is heard. Every tear is gathered. Every fear is known. This truth becomes a source of comfort, renewing your sense of connection with God. Even when your prayers felt imperfect or scattered, God understood the intention behind them. He saw your longing, your effort, your desire to stay close to Him, and in His kindness, He met you exactly where you were. You reflect on the souls in purgatory, and something inside you stirs with compassion. Their journey reminds you that love extends beyond the boundaries of earthly life, that mercy continues to flow even after death, and that God's heart longs to save, to restore, and to bring every soul into His embrace. When you pray for them, you feel part of something greater, an unbroken chain of grace that stretches across generations. Your prayers, though simple, become instruments of mercy. They become a bridge of love reaching beyond this world into the next. And in that connection, your trust in God's goodness deepens even more. You sense now that the night is teaching you something sacred, that trust is not only an act of faith, but an act of love. When you trust God, you are choosing to love Him even when you do not understand His timing. You are choosing to love Him even when the path ahead is unclear. You are choosing to love Him even when life asks you to wait longer than you expected. This kind of love is not easy, but it is real. It is transformative. It is the kind of love that roots itself deeply in the soul and becomes stronger through every experience. Your mind drifts to the prayers for protection and for peaceful rest. You realize how comforting it is to place your entire evening, your worries, your hopes, your fears, your thoughts into God's hands. There is something incredibly soothing about knowing that God stays awake when you sleep. He watches over you. He protects the home where you rest. He shields your heart from spiritual harm. He covers your dreams with peace. You are never out of His sight. You are never beyond His reach. You are never forgotten. This truth allows you to release the burdens that tried to cling to you throughout the day. You let go of the situations you cannot control, trusting that God is already working. You let go of the worries that replayed in your mind, trusting that God has already heard your concerns. You let go of the pressure to be strong all the time, trusting that God is strong on your behalf. As you breathe out slowly, you feel your shoulders loosen, your chest relax, your thoughts settle. The peace of surrender wraps around you, not as weakness, but as profound strength. You begin to see your life through a gentler lens. You realize that every trial has shaped you into someone wiser, more compassionate, more reliant on God. Every season of waiting has taught you patience and humility. Every disappointment has deepened your understanding of God's sovereignty. Every answered prayer has shown you His faithfulness. Every unanswered prayer has shown you His wisdom. You recognize now that nothing in your journey has been without purpose. God has been weaving a story far greater than anything you could craft alone. As this awareness grows, you feel your heart open even more. Gratitude rises in you, not just for the blessings, but for the lessons. Not just for the joys, but for the challenges. Not just for the clarity, but for the confusion that pushed you into deeper dependence on God. You find yourself trusting Him more than ever, not because everything is perfect, but because you can see His fingerprints in every part of your story. The night becomes a sanctuary of gratitude, a space where your soul feels safe, understood, and held. You sit quietly, letting this peace seep deeper into your spirit. You know there is more to uncover, more to surrender, more to learn as you continue this journey of trust. The night invites you to rest, not as an escape, but as a sacred pause. A pause that refreshes, renews, and prepares you for what comes next. In this moment, you sense God whispering to your heart that He is not finished with you, that there is more grace ahead, more blessings, more healing, more growth, more hope. You breathe this truth in as though it were fresh air. Your spirit feels lighter, your heart feels calmer, and your mind feels clearer. You are ready for the next step, whatever it may be, because you know the one who walks with you. And that alone is enough. As the final stretch of night settles around you, the quiet seems to deepen into something sacred, something that feels less like an ending and more like a gentle unfolding. The stillness no longer feels empty but full, as if God has been patiently waiting for your heart to grow quiet enough to hear what He has been whispering all along. In this soft silence, your spirit begins to understand truths that your mind once rushed past. You realize that much of your spiritual journey has been shaped not by dramatic encounters, but by subtle invitations, those gentle nudges urging you to trust a little more, surrender a little deeper, and rest a little longer in God's presence. You sense now that trust is becoming less of a concept and more of a lived experience. It has moved from your thoughts into your heartbeat, from your intentions into your actions, from your prayers into your daily life. You see how intimately trust is woven into every corner of your story. The moments that lifted you, the moments that broke you, the moments that confused you, and the moments that strengthened you. All of it, even the painful chapters, has carried threads of grace you did not notice at the time. But now in this reflective space, the tapestry becomes clearer. Your reflections wander back to the times you prayed in desperation, the moments when you begged God for clarity, direction, or relief. There were seasons when the answers came quickly, surprising you with God's tender kindness. There were other seasons when silence lingered longer than you wished, stretching your patience and humbling your heart. Yet even in the silence, God was not withholding. He was shaping you. His quiet was not abandonment, but preparation, strengthening your soul so it could hold the blessings He had planned. You see now that the waiting was not wasted. It was holy ground. You begin to understand that trust is not measured by how much you know, but by how deeply you believe that God knows what you cannot see. It is the peace that grows when you realize you don't have to understand everything to be held securely in His hands. It is the calm that forms when you choose to rest in God's love, even when the future feels uncertain. It is the steady flame that continues to burn, even when the wind of life blows fiercely. Trust becomes a quiet assurance that you are never navigating your journey alone. Your heart moves gently toward the memories of times when God's protection showed itself in ways that only make sense with hindsight. You recall situations where you prayed for doors to open, unaware that God was closing them for your safety. You recall relationships that faded not because you failed, but because God was redirecting you toward healing and wholeness. You recall disappointments that felt like endings, but later revealed themselves as beginnings. In every one of those moments, God was working behind the scenes, crafting a path you didn't yet understand. As you meditate on this truth, a new kind of gratitude rises within you. It is not the gratitude that comes from receiving what you hope for, but the gratitude that grows from realizing how deeply you are loved. You recognize now that God has always been attentive to your heart, even when you felt lost. His mercy has always been reaching for you, even when you struggled to forgive yourself. His grace has always surrounded you, even when you doubted your own strength. When you look back, you see a divine tenderness woven through every season of your life. This awareness brings your thoughts back to the prayers you offered for the holy souls, and you feel the weight of eternity gently resting on your heart. Their journey reminds you that life does not end at the boundaries of this world. It continues in God's presence, shaped by His mercy and sustained by His love. When you pray for them, You participate in a mystery of grace that extends beyond time, linking heaven and earth in a quiet tapestry of compassion. And in praying for them, your own heart grows humbler, softer, and more aware of the preciousness of every moment you are given. Your spirit turns once more toward the idea of surrender. You begin to see how surrender is not resignation but freedom. It is the release of burdens too heavy to carry, the letting go of fears that limit your heart, the quiet opening of your soul to God's will. Surrender is the space where healing begins. It is the place where God meets you with His mercy, where He renews your strength, where He restores what life has worn down. In surrender, you are not giving up. You are placing yourself where grace can flow uninterrupted. You sense now that surrender is the hidden doorway to peace. It is the humble recognition that you cannot control everything, and yet you are not helpless. You have the strength to trust. You have the courage to hope. You have the capacity to love. You have the grace to keep walking. These gifts didn't come from yourself. They came from God, slowly forming within you through every moment you turn toward Him. In this realization, you feel a deep sense of awe. God has been shaping you, molding you, holding you, and He is doing so still. As your heart rests in this truth, you begin to understand that trust, surrender, and gratitude are not separate virtues. They are interconnected threads of the same spiritual path. Gratitude opens your eyes to God's goodness. Surrender opens your heart to His will. Trust opens your soul to His presence. When these come together, your faith grows into something resilient, peaceful, and alive. It becomes the quiet anchor that steadies you through every season of life. Your reflections turn toward the prayers for protection during the night, and a gentle realization settles over you. God's guardianship is not merely a concept to be recited. It is a reality you live within. Even now, as you sit in soft stillness, God is watching over you. He is guarding your mind from fear, your heart from discouragement, your spirit from despair. He surrounds you with unseen grace. He fills your home with unseen peace. He places angels near you, not because you earned it, but because His love insists on staying close. This truth deepens your sense of belonging. You realize that you are not simply walking in faith, you are walking in the continual embrace of divine love. A love that does not falter, a love that does not withdraw, a love that does not depend on your performance but flows freely from God's heart. This love is what carries you. This love is what heals you. This love is what teaches you to trust even when your understanding is limited. And with this realization, a soft warmth spreads through you. One that feels like a gentle whisper saying, "You are safe. You are loved. You are mine." As the night approaches its quiet end, you sense a deeper clarity forming in your spirit. You understand now that your entire journey, every joy, every sorrow, every question, every answer, has been leading you toward this truth, that God does not abandon His children. He walks with them. He strengthens them. He grows them. He shapes them into people who can love more deeply, hope more boldly, and trust more freely. Your heart feels full as you let this truth settle within you. You feel gratitude rising inside you like a soft wave. Gratitude for the lessons, the growth, the presence of God that has carried you through everything. Gratitude for the quiet moments that shaped your soul. Gratitude for the trials that brought you closer to Him. Gratitude for the peace that now rests gently upon your spirit. And as this gratitude deepens, you feel a quiet strength taking root in your soul. One that is ready for tomorrow, ready for whatever comes, because trust has been awakened within you. You conclude this reflection with a soft truth echoing in your heart, that the real miracle is not that God removes every trial, but that He transforms your heart within them. And as you carry this truth into the coming days, you know you will walk with greater peace, deeper faith, and a renewed awareness that God is guiding every step of your journey. If this story brought you peace or touched your heart, I invite you to like the video, share it with someone who needs comfort, subscribe to the channel, and comment below with your intentions or reflections. May God bless you abundantly for being here.